This report really reflects the times that we live in, Mahua, and how do we tide over this, even as there is a huge kind of a conversation which is going on about 40 hours of work, don't take Sundays off, there should be 90 hours of work, personal life is not so important. But I want to ask you the first question, and which being that 90% of corporate employees under the age of 25, Mahua, reported experiencing symptoms of anxiety compared to 67 of those over the age of 45 in the year 2024. What is ailing the young, Mahua? What has happened?
So thank you so much for having me, Sudha. I really appreciate you bringing light to this issue. I just wanted to qualify a little bit of this finding. So when we say 90%, 90% of the people who elected to come for counseling, those people under 25 actually screened positive for anxiety and depression, and 67% for those above 45, like you stated. So it is those people who've already, identified that they're in need of support, who've come for counseling and taken the screening. And amongst those, this is the prevalence of depression and anxiety. And like you rightly said, I think, when you're under 25 or even under 30, there's a lot of transitions that happen in your life. You are moving away from college, you are joining your first job, you are perhaps getting into your first serious relationship, perhaps getting married. Some people may be having children. So a lot of these transitions that happen in life happen at that age, and that may be some of the reasons for why some people are experiencing this. And I think one additional thing that I would really like to celebrate about this, even though it seems like it's a really alarming statistic, is that people are much more informed. And I think the younger generations are much more informed and
Right.
much more aware, right? That I need to seek help. Earlier, you may not have been aware, oh, I'm not sleeping so well. Maybe there's something that I'm feeling anxious about. We didn't have the language for that. But now I think more people are aware, more people are
Right.
seeking help.
Yeah.
This is the result of what you're saying.
Right. I want to come to that question, but not, let me ask you another thing that,
Sure.
workplace related discussions, relationship, which is interpersonal, maybe. In my time,
Yes.
it was called how good are you with interpersonal relationships. One thing is there that in the initial stages, maybe because you did not have a comfortable relationship with your parents, siblings, partner, husband, friends, in-laws, maybe you can't negotiate your way through work. Is that one reason that people find this, and how important it is today to kind of do this? Because the times have changed. You cannot possibly get very close to somebody. Even using the word baby is sexual harassment. In my time it wasn't. Hey sweetheart was very normal for seniors to say that to me, and I would think he's so much older, it's all right. They find it very kind of objectionable if you say beta to someone. So I want to, the times have changed is what I'm trying to reiterate here, Mahua Bisht. I'm trying to understand that how important is that when you have relationships, because there is a dichotomy. The place of work is not your personal space. You do your job
Yes.
and you go home. Then where is the room for having a great personal relationship, or to make it better, relationship related discussions?
Right. So I think relationship related discussions are a huge part of it, as you discussed. Coming to workplace relationships here, we not only mean, a romantic relationship, but
No.
we also may mean your relationship with your manager, with your
Right.
colleagues,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The people you manage. So I think that there are, work is, let's face it, a huge part of our lives, right? A third of our lives we're facing that we're spending so much time there. So it makes sense that individuals are facing issues and challenges in those relationships and negotiating that. And it is a source of stress for them. And that's something that people do seem to want to work on and
All
get
right.
better at, right? How do
Okay.
I have a assertive conversation with my manager? How do I ask for a
Right.
better rate? How do I'm not really ready to come back to work. I've just had my baby, but I'm feeling guilty. How do I ask for more
Right.
time off? So
Okay.
these may be some of the very normal reasons for
Yeah. In
which
your
people.
survey, Moa Bisht, why is you found that people above 45 are better at it? In sense, it's not that they're devoid of stress or anxiety or panic, but then they do better. Is it because they have walked the corridors of life and work life, as it were, so they are better at it? They have better skills to, handle this, Mahua Bisht?
Uh, Thank you for that. That's a really great question. So what I would say is that more people under the age of 25 are sort of screening positive than people above the age of 45. That may be a reflection of openness to sharing this information or even taking this pre-screening or even coming in for counseling. And also, yes, we do gain resilience and ability to cope with stressors and get better and better at it once you're older. You may also have more systems of support, right? You might have your own family, your spouse's family, and you
Yeah, right.
may have a
Yeah.
more supportive environment to deal with it. And yes, you may not be as alone as a young person who may have moved from their
Right.
hometown to a
Yeah. Yeah.
new city
Yeah,
for
yeah,
work or
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
else might be.
Right,
So
Moa.
yeah,
But you know,
I would,
I'm sorry to interject, but in both cases, I mean, I may sound like Cassandra, but then it's a double-edged sword. If you're very young, you
yeah,
feel, oh my God, if I'm going to speak about how my manager speaks to me, which is offensive at many levels, I may lose the job. The same fear happens to a 47-year-old who says, who's going to give me a job now? So I better kind of put my head down and work at it. You recommend
yes,
you recommend that organizations to psychologically counsel, handhold not only the person who's working for you, but also their families. Let me explode the
yes,
myth. It doesn't happen. Most people are working under the umbrella of fear and helplessness, and that adds to the stress even more. I have seen this happen, that one thing goes to the next. I have someone, you spoke about self-harm. There was a journalist, you know, his editor allegedly spoke so rudely with him that he did himself in. I mean, how sad is that story? It was, I mean,
yeah.
one felt that what the hell? You could have spoken to people. He didn't. He just decided final exit it is for me. How does one negotiate that, Mahua Bisht?
So that's really hard. And I mean, to your point, I think, yeah, I think we do need to do a lot more as leaders or managers, even as peers, to sensitize ourselves and educate ourselves on, hey, what are the signs of distress, and how do I sensitively and empathetically encourage somebody to seek help, right? So one of the findings of our report was that 59% of manager referrals had a presence of stress, because had a presence of self-harm and suicidal risk as well. So managers are at key positions to notice. They are in meetings with you every day. Your colleagues may be in meetings with you every day, and they may be in a position to notice that something is off. This person isn't making eye contact. They're not speaking up as much as they usually do. And so the more that we as employees, as companies, as teammates, as leaders and managers educate ourselves on what are the signs and symptoms of stress and how do you empathetically have a conversation,
Yeah.
the better it will be, and the better we'd be able to catch this and
Yeah, yeah.
hopefully avoid incidents
Yeah,
like
you know,
this.
with the job market shrinking and with everyone working on something which is bordering on paranoia and neurosis, let me tell you
Mhm.
that if you are not making eye contact, the question often used is, what has happened? Did I say something to you? No, no, it's okay, sir. It's all right. No, but what's happened? Everything okay at home? Yes, sir. Then what? It's something I've done. I mean, you're already always cribbing. You know, you're never happy. Come on.
Mhm.
All I'm saying is that the managers need to be educated, that
Yes,
everyone is not the same. We are
yes.
not kind of clones of each other. We react to situations differently. And I think because ours is a very feudal system where the bosses still seem to be the someone who provides us our daily bread, things have to change, Mahua Bish. Sorry, I'm sounding, like this, but then I've seen a lot of this happening.
No, you're absolutely right, Sudha. Like, we are all different people. Today, I may be, doing great. Tomorrow, I may not. Even the
Yes.
same person may be needed to be dealt with differently at different points in their life, right? So you're absolutely right in saying we can't treat everyone the same way. There are some power dynamics and hierarchies, of course, and that's why it's
Yeah.
important to train
All
managers
right.
on how to make themselves accessible.
All right. Before I let you go, Mahua
Sure.
Bisht, what about staring at your wife on a Sunday? Are you all for it? I am. I wish my
Yeah, sure, I'm for it, but that doesn't really come up in the data that we sort
right.
of.
I mean, that was on a note where we got to work even on Sundays and not stare at each other.